February 5th, 2024 shall come to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mark, seconded by Dana. We approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say. Motion carries. To the consent agenda, you have a copy of the minutes of January 15th, 2024. We need approval of the bills and claims, of which you also have a copy. We have a resolution, Resolution 2407. This is a resolution approving the contract and bonds for the I-35 South 24th Street Water Tower Painting Improvement Project. In D, we have the following license and permits: liquor license, Class C retail alcohol license, The Boulevard, that's a renewal. Class E retail alcohol license, Randy's Neighborhood Market, that's a renewal. And an excavator's license with Shane Munson Construction, that's a renewal. Motion, please.
So moved.
Moved by Beth Ann, seconded by Mark, that we approve Resolution 2407. Is there any, or the consent agenda with Resolution 2407? Is there any discussion? Roll call. Mark?
Yes.
Creighton?
Yes.
Beth Ann?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
And Dana?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. And Resolution 2407 is duly adopted. Now is the time and place for anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council on any issue or concern that is not on the agenda. Please approach the podium, state your name first and last, and give your address so the clerk can properly enter in the minutes. This is not a discussion time, nor a question and answer time, but it is an opportunity for you to explain your issue to the council. Not appearing, we'll move on to unfinished business, which we have A, Emerald Edge Subdivision rezoning Hamilton Real Estate Group Apartment Project, and to approve ordinance number 879 on the third and final reading. And it is an ordinance amending the official zoning and land use maps of the city of Clear Lake, Iowa to rezone certain property from CI1 intensive commercial to RM20 medium density multifamily. Motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Bennett, seconded by Dana, that we approve ordinance number 879 on the third and final reading. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mayor, real quick. I would just like to thank Chris Terry with Hamilton Real Estate for being here tonight. And again, very exciting project we have, and look forward to moving this forward. So thank you for being here.
Any further discussion? Roll call. Creighton.
Yes.
Beth Ann.
Yes.
Bennett.
Yes.
Dana.
Yes.
And Mark.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Ordinance number 879 is duly adopted. New business, Destination Iowa Surf District Creative Placemaking Streetscape Project Intro. Mr. Flory, welcome, Scott.
Thank you, Your Honor, and council members. Let's start out with the gold sheet in your packet. Has the numerals 24-08 at the top. Resolution setting the date for a public hearing on the plan specifications, form of contract, estimate of cost, setting the date for receiving bids, directing posting of the bid letting, all for the surf district improvement projects. As you'll note in the resolution, that sets March 4th at 5:30 p.m. as the time and place for a public hearing on the plans and specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost. So that, just note that that was done in anticipation of a later agenda item that would change the council meeting time from 6 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. So again, that does set that public hearing time for 5:30 p.m. on March 4th. It also establishes the bid letting date for the project as February 29th at 11 a.m. So we're taking every advantage of that leap year and leap day here by stretching that one out. So February 29th, 11 a.m. Here in the council chambers. So the next sheet is the copy of the notice of the public hearing that will be published in the newspaper. This is a not less than 4, no more than 20-day notice. So that will be published in the newspaper on February 15th. Again, just indicating that the hearing date is March 4th at 5:30 p.m. here in the council chambers at City Hall. And then it also indicates the locations where plans are available for inspection, including the City Hall location at Suite G out at 1 Team Quest Way. The sheet where all the pricing is on is in this really bright pink sheet, so you can't read any of it. Kind of makes you go blind if you look at it too long. So that's a preliminary estimate of cost. And as we're continuing with our consultants, RDG and Wienstrom Kim, continuing to refine that cost estimate proposal. So this is more or less what I would describe as a placeholder in the packet for this evening, but I at least wanted you to get familiar with some of the quantities and the particular bid items that we're looking at taking bids on. So the next sheets that follow that are some copies of the excerpts from the contract documents and plans and specifications, and Pat Dunn with RDG is going to walk through some of those here with you this evening with a PowerPoint presentation. So just want to again review that tonight we'll again act on the resolution to set the date for the public hearing and the bid letting on the project. Publish the notice of the hearing in the newspaper on February 15th. Again, Pat's going to review the plans here. Right now, we're probably in that $3.3 million category for an estimate of cost for the streetscape component of the Surf District project. Just again, as a reminder, this is a project that we're in partnership with the state of Iowa. We received, of course, the Destination Iowa Creative Placemaking Grant for this project, so generally that's going to pay for about 40% of these streetscape improvements. Also want to point out that this does not include the lakefront component. So that is one project that, because of all the other activities that we have going on, once we get these things to bid and under construction, then we'll come back and kind of finish up the scope of that project. And that may be one where we utilize the construction manager at risk method of procurement on that one for that portion of the project. So also there are some things that are identified on that hot pink sheet as would be done by owner. So for example, some bike racks, trash cans, those kinds of things we would probably just buy directly as a city rather than running it through the contract. And also the memorial sculpture, which really falls under the auspices of the streetscape improvement portion of the Destination Iowa project. That is not included in the items here this evening. That's being done separately. I'm going to report on that a little bit later on in the agenda. So just really, before we introduce Pat, just really excited again about another good project I think we're working on here with RDG and Wienstrom Kim on this. Excited to see how the bids come in. A lot of work has gone into this by a lot of people, many of whom are here in the audience tonight. If you recall, we had submitted this Destination Iowa Creative Placemaking Grant application. It was, as one of the members here always reminds me, we had to have it done in like about 70 days. And so we had this done. I think we were at the League of Cities meeting in September, and Creighton and I were getting it, and we submitted it, I think, with what, maybe an hour or two before the deadline. But
Plenty of time.
Yeah, plenty of time. We pretty well maxed out that time frame on this and getting this submitted. So, we got the grant, and that was in, I think we found out in December of 2022 or thereabouts that we were going to get this grant. So for a long time now, well over a year, we've been going through this planning process with our committee and many of you all involved in that as well, and taking every opportunity we can to speak to different civic groups and put on presentations about the scope of all the improvements and what we're doing here, and take advantage of every media opportunity we can to get out there about the project. But really excited about this streetscape, because I think Mr. Smith always uses the words transformative when you describe this project. I think that is one of the most true things about it. It really is taking the streetscape and making it really a transformational project. One last thing, and Pat will probably talk about this a little bit as well, that I'm particularly excited about with the streetscape component is, and this is where some of the budget kind of gets a little bit wonky, if you will. We've taken an opportunity here to incorporate a number of water quality improvements in there. So you'll see the brick paver sidewalks. Well, those are not just simple brick pavers in there. Those are porous pavers, so kind of like we have out here in the parking lot at City Hall. And we're doing that because a large portion of this area does fall within the Clear Lake watershed. So we could do things probably a lot less costly than these best management practices, but we want to take the advantage of while we're there, while we're doing it, let's do it right and with our environmental stewardship responsibilities to the lake front and center. And so this gives us a great opportunity with porous pavers being utilized at these crosswalks, and there's, I think, 10 or 11 of those, and then, in the right-of-way, utilizing the biofiltration. So there's a lot of work that goes into that, and unfortunately, a lot of cost as well. But again, I think we have always taken our responsibilities very seriously there, and I think this is a high-profile area and place for us to continue to do that. So. And that's all I've got, unless anybody has any questions before Pat runs through the PowerPoint with you.
Any comments, questions for Scott, Council? Thank you, Scott. Project update review, Pat Dunn, RDG, and Jason Petersburg with V&K. Welcome, Pat. Welcome, Jason.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Pat Dunn with RDG Planning and Design, Des Moines, Iowa. Thanks for the opportunity to be here again tonight. It's an honor, as always, and this project has been, as mentioned, been going on for quite some time, and it is very fulfilling for all of us who've worked on it to be here tonight with the hopes that this can move forward. I'll take a few minutes and just give a very high level, and then if you have any more questions about the plans and drawings, we can certainly get into the details. So just a quick reminder, this slide simply identifies on the right-hand side the primary areas of the project, starting on the north at Highway 18, running down from the railroad tracks on Buddy Holly Place, all the way down to North Shore, and then North Shore itself over to Three Stars Plaza, and then 7th Avenue North has some improvements as well. So what I'll do is just start at the north and just give you some reminders of the pieces and parts of the project. Starting at that north end then, you see the Highway 18 on the left, upper left, and the railroad tracks. The red circle indicates the primary focus of this portion of the project, and that is to welcome visitors to the Surf District and really establish the theme with this archway that will go over the top of the roadway. This has been presented, and it really has been very consistently presented for the last 6 months or more. So I think it stood the test of time as an original concept, and it's been through structural engineering and all of the regulations. So thankfully, it's made it through all those hoops and red tape. Along with that archway, there will be an opportunity for pedestrians to I guess, kind of a photo op opportunity with a little plaza, a couple of parking spots for people to actually drive there, get out of their vehicle, take some photos. The plaza itself will have 3 masonry piers that will have interpretive information about the Three Stars themselves as a complement to the original Three Stars Plaza to the south.
Pat, I was going to mention on the masonry piers, you might talk just a little bit about the scale of those, and then I think the art that you described is similar to the ceramic tiles that we use down City Beach.
Correct, yeah. So all of these vertical elements that you see here at this plaza and throughout the project will have custom made just for the surf ceramic materials that will be illuminated at night. Will be specially colored to match some of the theme colors of the district, and there will also be interpretive panels that will be custom made again to tell the story. But the ceramic inserts will be handmade and custom to the surf district and will exist nowhere else. Moving to the south, then, the 3 drawings on the left simply give you a sense of the 3 blocks, starting from 8th and working your way all the way down to North Shore. The bullet points on the right are really a reminder of why why are we doing this? What's the purpose? The median removal along Buddy Holly Place gives us the opportunity to increase parking, increase pedestrian safety, enhance the district theme, establish a new lighting style along this corridor, continue with the community's banner program throughout this district with custom-made banners for this particular district, more street trees, planting, greening up this area, and last but not least, as Scott mentioned, the bioretention planters and the permeable pavers are an investment that you're making into this community and the lake.
I was just going to mention as a reminder, the street lighting is the Art Deco style street lighting. So there's the Three Stars Plaza still has some of that original, it's probably about 18 years old now, but those will be replaced with the new Art Deco style lighting there that we're using along Buddy Holly. On North Shore, it maintains the same candy cane style, if I remember correctly.
The next slide.
Yep.
The next slide illustrates some of the features along Buddy Holly Place. So in the upper left, as Scott mentioned, that's the new style of light fixtures with banners. You see there some permeable paving that'll be used in both sidewalk and crosswalk locations. In the lower left is an example of a bioretention area that will have plant material and trees in some cases. The stop signage will be consistent with other portions of the community. And then on the right, you start to see some of those vertical masonry piers that will be a unifying element throughout the district and both day and night. And again, we'll have features within them and atop each one of them that will really differentiate the surf district from anywhere else in the world. Shifting to North Shore then, on the top left is the western portion of that segment, and then on the lower left is the eastern portion of North Shore. The features here, first and foremost, right outside the new MEIC will be a Three Stars Sculpture Plaza. Scott mentioned that. That's an ongoing tangential or parallel effort to select a foundry to fabricate that sculpture. Pedestrian safety is a significant concern and an improvement along this corridor, crossing North Shore at the surf entrance itself with a designated drop-off area. Continuing the theme with banners, street trees, and some of the sustainable design features as well.
I was going to mention also, but is under the auspices of this project, however, while the sculpture, the memorial sculpture is being RFP'd separately, and we'll have that selection process before you at another time, the pedestal itself and the lighting components and all of these things are part of this project.
And worth mentioning is that we've been working closely with the architects and designers of the MEIC to make sure that that plaza and the lighting for that sculpture works well. So thanks to that design team for assisting us in integrating both the right-of-way and that building project. So you see here on this, the lighting, as Scott mentioned, similar and consistent with the North Shore that exists to the east. You see the new logo, the Surf District logo that will actually be reflected in many of the graphics, but also physically reflected in some of the shape, for example, of the base of the sculpture and some custom benches around at the North Plaza. You see some of the banners in the lower middle, some early concepts that will be fleshed out. And in the lower left, Scott mentioned that the future connection to the lake the concept still exists. It's simply being deferred to a point in time where we can focus on that here in the near future. I'll turn this over to Jason to talk about staging.
We'll talk about staging, phasing, but the color on the map, the red, blue, green, yellow, that's the concrete street work associated with the project. This isn't a full-depth reconstruction of Buddy Holly. We're just removing the median and then whatever concrete we have to redo some of the bump outs there. The magenta on 7th Avenue, that's just an asphalt overlay there, so that's pretty minor. Phasing, staging wise, we're proposing to build this one block at a time. I guess we haven't really decided which end we want to start at yet. Initially I was thinking we'd start at start at the highway and work our way south, closing one block off for the road work, and then once that street work is done, reopen it. Get the street work done, and then all the landscaping work can be done. Everything behind the curbs can be done. With traffic going, close it down, or close the parking areas down for a block at a time, do all the work behind the curbs, and then once that's done, move on to the next block.
I was just going to mention, Jason, it's very likely that the magenta piece that you spoke of with the overlay that we, depending on how the numbers look, that could be deferred post redevelopment of the former Hilltop site.
That would be an easy one to pull budget-wise on this project. I'll note I did add one more stage today. I broke North Shore into 2 phases, split it right at the front door of the surf there, trying to make sure that one of the 2 driveways on either side of the surf is open and available at all times.
The last slide we have here tonight is simply a recap of what we've presented in past meetings, which is this order of magnitude for the cost opinion. And mentioned earlier that the initiatives that are not directly related to this public bidding project but are ongoing with the 3-star sculpture and the lake connection. Happy to answer any questions or go through anything in more
Yeah,
detail.
Jen, go back to that first one, where 8th and Buddy Holly. Yeah, right there. Yeah. Well, go up to where the yep, right there. That median will stay there. That's the only part of the median that will not come out. Or there isn't one there
There isn't
now.
one there, yeah, no.
There isn't one there now, so that will be placed in there.
Correct.
All right. With no problem in a turning radius from 8th going north or 8th going south. Bump out's still there.
No, we're removing the bump out.
Oh, all right, all right.
Making the radius larger, and we've accommodated full-size semis being able to make that corner,
Yeah.
which is why we have the median pushed as far north as we do at that
Right.
intersection.
And an entryway for the repair,
Yep. They'll have a driveway out just like they do now.
as well as they come in the alley there too. That alley will have, okay. When you take the median out from there down to North Shore Drive, you'll replace that with
PCC.
Concrete,
everything, all right,
pour it back with concrete.
all right. Bioretention, water, rain gardens, or whatever you want to call them, correct? Do we know yet what the different levels will be? I assume it's obviously topsoil on the top for that, but what do you have, gravel, rock?
Yeah, there will be a special mix of,
Yeah.
of soil
Yeah,
media in there to absorb and allow infiltration. So all of those bump out areas will allow some of the street gutter water to go in there, slow it, let it infiltrate. If it does fill out, it can come back out and go into some of the intakes. But yeah, Jason has done a great job figuring out that system.
and then that will go, that watershed there goes to the lake, correct?
That's part of the watershed. There's a storm sewer system in there that takes water away from the lake.
Oh, all right.
Yep.
All right.
So it's within the
But you-
watershed, and so the surface water that drains like through these porous pavers, that's all part of the watershed. That's water that would go to the lake, but we have a collection system for the street that what doesn't go into these rain gardens and biofiltration, that goes into a storm sewer that takes it away from the lake.
Okay, all right. I was going to even remark that we do have those filter boxes there as well. Even if it does go through to a certain amount, but certainly it is better to flow away.
Yeah, we don't have any right in that
Right in
area,
that area?
though, no.
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 All right. In the, what are we calling those the columns there?
Yeah, the,
What's the word?
masonry piers.
Yeah. The fixture on top is lighted?
Yes.
Okay. So we've got electrical right up through,
Yes, there, as you can start to see in that lower right image, you can see not only is the top portion illuminated, but there will be lights on the interpretive pieces, so day and night they'll be visible for people to see and read.
and the color that we see now will be the actual color. The blue,
That's the concept. We can certainly adjust when we get through the final
Yeah,
shop drawing
good.
process, but
No.
that's working with the surf and working with the city on the color
yeah.
theme.
Yeah. Great job, in my opinion. Looks very good. Those are porous pavers right there, the left where you have the three.
Actually, that particular spot are not porous, but the majority of the remainder down Buddy Holly are
Right.
porous.
So that area would be outside the watershed.
Outside the, yeah. Yeah.
May I speak to this? It was really exciting being on this committee, working on this. As a representative of the Historical Society is where I've been on with this, and watching it all come together and collaborating with so many different people on the designs that we would come up with. So I am very, I can't wait to see everything start to pull together on this, because it is starting to really look like something, and everybody has something to say about how to make it work better. And all the drawings that you folks brought back every time about, here we incorporated this, how is this going to work? What's it going to do with traffic flow? It was definitely a collaborative effort, and I thank you for all the work you guys did with us on this, in this committee.
Thank
It looks great.
Yeah, I really appreciate Beth Ann's comments. I think that's spot on, and I would just echo that I want to thank both of you for all your hard work you've done on it. I mean, this is really amazing, and as Beth Ann said, really a collaborative effort. You know, I happened to catch a little bit of the Grammys the other night, and I just think about how our culture tends to revere these great stars, this music legacy that we create, and here in Clear Lake, we're a part of this. And I just love the fact that in Clear Lake, we believe the music lives, right? It has not died, and we're putting a lot of investment into that positive legacy. And so I think it's just an amazing, amazing project in the way it looks. So thank you.
I was going to jump in on that just for one quick
Yeah.
second. Beth Ann, I appreciate that comment on the Historical Society and the collaboration, because that's exactly why we involved lots of different organizations throughout the community, and some of the stuff for the watershed improvements was a project of Deb, of course, was on our community committee for the Association for the Preservation of Clear Lake, as was Mark, in a couple different capacities here. So yeah, definitely a lot of groups well represented.
There were a lot of us there, many people around that table.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions, council? Thank you very much, appreciate that. Therefore, I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2408, a resolution to set the date for a public hearing, which shall be March 4th, and bid letting, which shall be February 29th, 11 a.m., right here in the council chambers, on the proposed Destination Iowa Surf District Streetscape Improvement Project.
I will offer that motion.
Moved by Beth Ann, seconded by Dana, that we approve Resolution 2408. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Beth Ann,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Dana,
Yes.
Mark, and Creighton.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Resolution 2408 is duly adopted. Thank you all. 6B, Emerald Edge Urban Revitalization Plan 2024, review proposal. Mr. Flory, welcome again, Scott.
Thank you, Your Honor, and council members. The white sheets in your packet address this, starting with the Number 2409, the resolution adopting the 2024 Emerald Edge Urban Revitalization Plan. Thank our partners at Planscape here this evening for helping with the preparation of this document. So in the way of review, if you recall, back at your meeting on December 18th, the council had adopted the resolution of necessity and set February 5th, so tonight, 6 p.m. here in the council chambers as the date, time, place for the public hearing on the proposed urban revitalization plan. Public notice was published in the newspaper, did publish this both in the Mirror Reporter and the Globe Gazette to meet the guidelines there. So I have not received any written comments regarding the plan for the public hearing. So as you know, we've talked about this several times, of course. This is in furtherance of two pretty significant housing projects for our community. The Emerald Edge Townhome Project on the west side of Emerald Edge subdivision. It's about a 32-unit townhome project. And also the plus or minus 90-unit Emerald Edge apartment project on the east side. So you got a copy of the plan in your packet. Again, we've covered that one a couple of times, but as I've mentioned previously, Chapter 404 of the Code of Iowa is the enabling legislation that gives us the authority to create these urban revitalization plans. The mayor and I were speaking earlier, and I know it's hard to follow some of these. So urban revitalization as opposed to urban renewal. And urban revitalization is a separate chapter. It's 404, urban renewal is 403. This is what we utilize when we're discussing things like tax abatements. And so this gives us the authority under that particular piece of legislation to approve and grant certain tax incentives in the form of tax abatements for projects. So full or partial, and that's precisely what we're doing with this plan. So in terms of the remaining schedule, so as I mentioned, tonight is the time and the place for the public hearing. So following the public hearing, the council will then consider the adoption of the urban revitalization plan by resolution, and then after consideration of the resolution, you'll have the first of 3 readings of the ordinance approving the designation of the Emerald Edge Urban Revitalization District. So I would just note that we did prepare the agenda under the assumption that you would suspend the rules pursuant to Chapter 380.3 of the Code of Iowa and suspend the rules and put it immediately on the final adoption, so you'd be able to be completed with it this evening. However, if you did not choose to do that, we would have our second reading on February 19th, the third reading on March 4th, and then the city clerk would publish the ordinance on March 7th and then file a copy with the county about that same time. So. I guess I don't have anything further. Maybe just one thing that I think this time around that is a little bit unique as far as the plan itself. There was a legislative change last year, and that could be found on page 6 of the plan under paragraph K, the exemptions, that indicates that real estate classified as residential for which the first year of exemption applications are received after July 1st of this year would not receive the exemption of school, the portion of the school levy. So for the 2 housing projects that are under consideration, you'll likely be seeing their application for the exemption before July 1st. So. And I think, as you all know, we consider those applications, and then ultimately the county determines whether or not they're qualified real estate, which is kind of a fait accompli, if you will, as brand new construction obviously would more than qualify. So I don't have anything further prior to the public hearing, unless anyone has any questions.
Questions or comments for Scott, council? Thank you, Scott. Now is the time and place for the public hearing with regard to the Emerald Edge Urban Revitalization Plan for 2024. If there's anyone in the audience who wishes to address that particular plan, please approach the podium, state your name first and last, and give your address so the clerk can properly enter the minutes. Welcome, Chad.
Council, appreciate it. Chad Truck, North Iowa Corridor, 9 North Federal, Mason City, Iowa. I just want to offer, you guys have heard me many times speak about our housing need in North Iowa, especially Mason City, Clear Lake, and I think more pertinent than ever in Clear Lake on this housing, or this apartment and townhome type development. We just have not had that entry point for a lot of new young professionals in our community for a long time. And, you know, Scott kind of opined on this many times that we have not had new market rate apartments in this community in forever. We've had the age restricted or the income restricted or different things like that. But these are really going to meet that market rate niche that we've really needed at an even greater level than I probably ever could have hoped for. You look at 120 to 130 new families that have the opportunity to come to our community. I think it's just incredible. I've had the pleasure of working with both these developers on the housing projects, and they're first rate. Incredible experience and successes that you can see and document. I know many of you have visited properties from these folks. And I think the opportunity to bring them here is incredibly important to us. I think that the effort on the urban revite, we know that to get in the door, to get these kind of projects to get across the finish line, they need this assistance in the current climate with interest rates and inflation on the building materials. So I just feel it's a very important thing that we have this as a tool and a resource for the community to offer that, ensure that these projects get done. Also want to thank the Sukup family and business for their efforts on this property and redeveloping it. Such an incredible asset for our community, as an important corridor of the community, and to see the development with not just the housing but some other retail and amenity opportunities coming down the pike is really great for us. So appreciate your efforts on this and fully support what you're doing here. Thanks.
Thank you, Chad. Anyone else wish to speak to the revitalization plan? Not appearing, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing with regard to the Emerald Edge Urban Revitalization Plan.
Second.
Moved by Creighton, seconded by Mark, that we close the public hearing. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Now I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2409, a resolution adopting the 2024 Emerald Edge Urban Revitalization Plan. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Creighton, that we approve Resolution 2409. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Bennett?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Creighton?
Yes.
And Beth Ann?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Resolution 2409 is duly adopted. Now I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 880 on the first reading. It's an ordinance designating an area of Clear Lake, Iowa as the 2024 Emerald Edge Urban Revitalization Area. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Bennett, seconded by Beth Ann, that we approve ordinance number 880 on the first reading. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Dana?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Creighton?
Yes.
Beth Ann?
Yes.
And Bennett?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Ordinance number 880 is approved on the first reading. And now, council, at your pleasure, I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules pursuant to Iowa Code Section 380.3 and place ordinance number 880 on the third and final reading. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Mark, that we suspend the rules pursuant to Iowa Code Section 380.3 and place ordinance number 880 on the third and final reading. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Mark?
Yes.
Creighton?
Yes.
Beth Ann?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
And Dana?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. And now we'll go to the third and final reading as a result of that motion and approval of. A motion to approve ordinance number 880, an ordinance designated an area of Clear Lake, Iowa as the 2024 Emerald Edge Urban Revitalization, and this is the third and final reading. Motion, please.
So, second.
Moved by Mark, seconded by Creighton, that we approve ordinance number 880 on the third and final reading. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Creighton?
Yes.
Beth Ann?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
And Mark?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. And ordinance number 880 is duly adopted. Thank you all. 6C, Destination Iowa Creative Placemaking Surf District Music Enrichment and Immersive Center Project. Intro, Mr. Flory, welcome again.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. These are the less obnoxious pink sheets in your packet. This is an addendum to our architectural services agreement with Atura Architecture. If you'll recall, a year or so ago, we've gone through an RFP process and had selected Atura to be the design professional for the Music Enrichment Center project, as we saw it at that time. And so we'd been working with them for quite a while, and as we engaged additional sub-consultants through this process, we really had a paradigm shift in what we thought the building should encapsulate, and we began to take on much more of a perspective that this should be much more of a less static, more engaging, something more interactive in terms of programming and exhibits, as opposed to just memorabilia hanging on a wall, perhaps. So we started talking to the sub-consultants and then brought them in under the auspices of the contract with Atura. So the contract amendment that you have, and I'll let Austin talk on this here in a moment as well, but what you have before you is an addendum number 1 to that contract that would cover the additional architectural services related to these additional things that we're undertaking for the music enrichment, and as we refer to it now as the immersive center. So the scope of work increased quite a bit in a different direction. So that increased quite a bit of the design work, and then some of the other things in terms of the technology and all the other things that we're going. So this would be the same percentage as what we have the kind of the precedent contract with them is a 7% fee. So I would add, not only did I think all of us when we selected them thought they had the best proposal, but it was also the least costly proposal. And so this continues that same percentage that we have under that kind of the foundational contract, and establishes a lump sum fee maximum of $50,000 for these additional scope of services related to the new immersive and digital approach that we've taken on now with the Music Enrichment and Immersive Center. So, and again, these are all project costs that, of course, are eligible under our grant agreement with the state. So anytime we change things, we have to go through a formal process and have them bless it, so to speak. So that's probably all I've got on that. Going to continue on with the next item, and there's some exhibits there, and Austin can elaborate on those if he wants to. I want to also now go to the green sheets in your packet. So if you recall, we had gone through a pretty extensive selection process for the construction manager at risk on this very new process in Iowa under Chapter 26, and very thorough and competitive process. And we had a number of proposals that we received here. And of course, we did select Dean Snyder Construction here in Clear Lake for the construction manager at risk under this. Once again, like with Atura, not only did I think they submitted I think all of us thought that it was the best proposal, but it was also the least costly as well. So it was a double win for us on that. We had awarded the contract to DSC, but we had held off on the formal approval of the agreement because, if you recall, there were at that time a number of pieces of federal regulation that were in play that we thought would not be in play later on. So, for example, like the Buy American Act. And okay. I mean, that sounds wonderful in theory, but many of the things that we just saw up here tonight with some of those provisions increased the cost really tremendously and increased the lead time perhaps even more than that. And when we approved, if you recall here, I think it was about 2 months ago, it approved the amendment number 1 to our agreement with the Iowa Economic Development Authority that ratified the removal of all of those pieces of federal regulation that went along with this. So Davis-Bacon, the Buy American, all these kinds of things went away. So that we held off on the formal approval of this document because we had a pretty good idea that that was going to happen, and if it did, then this agreement would look one way. If it didn't, then it would have to look another way. So what this agreement here tonight indicates, none of those pieces of federal regulation apply. So the construction manager in this case, Dean Snyder, does not have to ensure compliance with Davis-Bacon or Buy American and all these other things. So there's really nothing new with this, only other than we had held off waiting until we had gotten the final approval from the Economic Development Authority that, yes, our contract would not be subject to any of those provisions. So that was definitely a nice gift. So, all I got on either of those. So.
Well, let me comment there if I could, Scott, because I do want to thank you, because I think that process and that holding off on that was a very prudent thing to do. And I know there are other communities in Iowa that I believe were also.
We're indeed. So
Right.
Dubuque and Marion were in that same category, and I talked extensively to some of their folks, and they had engaged some outside legal counsel to kind of hover over that a little bit, so we were kind of staying close to all of that, and had a pretty good thought that some of these onerous regulations would be going away. It was just going to take a little bit of time, and sure enough, they did. So yeah, we just held off on our agreement until we had that confirmation, and yep, state got it. We approved the amendment number 1 that again removed the ratification, pulling of all of those regulations.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I will just say, having worked with you for the last 6 years, and we've got a great audience here tonight, these are complicated processes and projects that involve federal, state, local issues, and I just want to congratulate you. I appreciate how you manage all of that for us. It's done very professionally and very well, and I just want you to know that again, we really appreciate that. I certainly do.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's a labyrinth of bureaucracy, to say the least.
Well, see, that's it. And again, I didn't realize that until you get involved with these projects. There's tremendous complexity involved here, and so we benefit a great deal.
Yeah. And
from
just as a reminder, this, of course, is the federal Destination Iowa project. So there is a state program. It's a little less cumbersome and complex and onerous, but this one is with a derivative of federal funds that, if you recall, there was even some misunderstandings because these funds came from the Department of Treasury, which was a different fund, and so they hadn't even made any program rules, so it was kind of a mess.
Exactly, and so I appreciate the patience and management of that, so thank you so much.
We're on a good path now.
Yeah.
So I don't have anything further on that, unless Austin, if you wanted to add anything to it, and it's up to you guys. So.
Council, any further comments for Scott? Thank you. Review proposed addendum number 1 to professional services agreement, Austin Peel, Atura Architecture. Welcome, Austin.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Appreciate the time. Scott did a really good job of going over our cover letter and those additional services, so I'd be happy to answer questions. I think the one thing I'll add is, months ago when we were first here kind of presenting our initial fly-through of the space, there's kind of 2 separate areas within there for the exploratory and kind of the exhibit space. After that meeting, we were in the middle of going through the consultant hiring process for that immersive and exhibit design, and when we retained Mechdyne, there was a clear direction from the committee to explore that immersive environment a lot more, and so our initial contract, as Scott mentioned, was more or less the building and the footprint of those spaces, not to go into too much detail and depth as far as the design of those spaces. So while we're not designing the exhibits in the immersive experience, there's been a hefty amount of work that's gone alongside of both adjusting the building footprint, the square footage, as well as making sure consultants align with Mechdyne as well as far as the systems that are in place to support that load. And then just working back and forth with them on making sure the space is adequate for the needs there. So that's simply put what the expanded fee would cover. And from our perspective, We believe that that'll cover everything moving forward as well, through the coordination and the CA, construction administration of the project. So happy to answer any questions that you might have surrounding that.
It's been an exciting thing to watch this whole thing evolve. When we started out with just the MEC, and then it kind of became the ME and IC. And it's been neat to see how that evolution has occurred, to find out what we really needed to have to be the place it needed to be. So thanks for staying with that for us, because I think it looks like it's going to be just what we need for that building. Thank you. And keeping the Art Deco. And you can throw in a few pineapples. Right, Chelsea? Yeah, okay.
See if there's any leftover.
If there's some leftover pineapples, we can throw some of those in there.
And one thing I'll add to real quick on the heels of that, last time we were here, there was, we had a fly through and it was pretty static. And so there's a couple of renditions of that space in coordination with Mechdyne that you have there in your packet. And those are simply just concepts. There's a lot more to be developed there, but it kind of casts a little vision of how that space is going to be interactive and visualize, these projectors throughout the room that really creates an immersive environment. So just some additional information for you on that.
Comments, questions for Austin?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think this is a really worthwhile investment in this project. I know it's some additional funding, but if you could just briefly characterize for us the wow factor of this rendition or this edition versus what we were originally going to do. Because it seems to me like it's really, really impressive.
Yeah.
How would you characterize the difference?
Well, the fact that we can't visually show you right now,
Yeah.
the wow factor, I think, is an indication as to what it's going to be. Typically a static environment is very easy to replicate. This is ever changing, so I think it's something that you're going to have to be there to experience, and I think that's going to be a good task for Lori and the Surf to be able to market that, and I don't think it'll be hard, but the one thing I think about, and as I've gone through this process with the surfboard, is there's so many articles and historic items that have been on display at the Surf and restaurants around town, whatever it might be, and those are great, and I think this is only going to enhance those.
Right.
If you think about the juxtaposition of these two types of museums and exhibits, I think one's only going to benefit the other. It's not a recreation of the same thing that you already have. So I think ultimately it's gonna help the Surf and help the draw for the experience that you're going to receive in the Surf as well as the MEIC. So I think that's a good indication as far as the direction we've taken with that, and I'm excited for it. There's not great examples to really point to as to what you can see and experience, and I think that's part of the excitement there. There's different museums and those things that have an element of this, and I don't know all the terminology. That's Mechdyne's specialty, but if you can think about walking through this environment and the floor moving with your kids or with you as you walk around and interact, the ceiling being lit, the walls being lit, it's a timeless design that'll allow for constant improvement and changes for each decade.
I think that's fantastic, and thank you for characterizing that, because I think it will be very impressive and the public will love it. It's going to be very exciting. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think that's spot on, because what you guys have done with the exhibits in the Surf are outstanding as an historian, because you've got the real artifacts there. And then to be able to go over to the MEIC and just be totally submerged, immersed, whatever you want to say, in the experience of the music over and over and over. I think that's going to be just, that's the historian in me. So, I'm not going to do anything else with that.
No, that's great.
At least we not forget, the Surf is the landmark,
Right.
of which we only have 27 in this state, and as Scott says, somewhere between 2,000 and 2,500 in the country. And this complements,
Right.
and so does the Surf, will complement this MEIC center as well. So we work together on that.
Absolutely.
Any other comments for Austin? Thank you, Austin. Appreciate you doing this.
Last thing I was going to mention after that is the final item on this topic is the gold sheet in your packet, and that's a resolution to approve a submittal of an application to the IEDA for a community attraction and tourism program. So it's all very exciting stuff. Of course, you know, one of my roles is kind of the fiscal agent here, and we're going to need some help financially to maximize what it is that we want to do at this new building. So one of the opportunities that's available to us, and we've actually been encouraged to seek these additional funding opportunities, is the CAP program. So a prerequisite of funding for that is also support from our county. We've got private contributors as part of this project, and we'll be able to leverage them. Of course, our great partner, the 501c3, the nonprofit, North Iowa Cultural Center Museum is a land contributor to the Music Enrichment Immersive Center, as is the Surf Limited LTD. So we'll be able to capitalize on their land investments towards this project as a private contribution. We need a contribution from the county, and Nelson and I and quite a few others here, Bennett was there as well, spoke to the county last Monday about a financial contribution towards this project. Had a nice favorable reaction to them. It was actually supposed to be on their agenda today, but they had a mix-up in the timing of it, so it will be on their agenda for next Monday. And you know, we had asked for contribution, and we'll see where it goes, but we're hopeful it'll be in that $250,000 category for this project. So we're able to make an application for the entire cost with these additional technological immersive center type improvements. So when you add all of those in, if you recall, the base project that was identified in the Destination Iowa project for the Music Enrichment Center was a $6.5 million project. It's going to be 40% funded through the grant with the state. With this new technology, and we're kind of shooting for a higher level of experience here, is adding an additional $1.5 million to that. So in total, it'd be an $8 million undertaking here. So the application that we're submitting is predicated on that figure, that a little north of $8 million for this project. So we're generally, the awards are capped at about $1 million, and so 14–15%. So our request, as you've seen here in the resolution, is for $960,000 from the state of Iowa, and then of course the county contribution and the city's commitment would be for the balance of that. So that would be a nice victory if we could get that. So, so that application has to be in February 15th. So we'll probably again wait until 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and get that one in. But it'll get in, and I expect that they will probably review that at their next month's board meeting after that. And it's very likely, talking to Kathy, that they'll probably want a group from down and talk about the project, and likely that the following month, probably not as likely at that meeting, but probably the next month, that they would probably act on a request. So hopefully we would know by April or sooner. So.
Anything else? Questions? Got comments? Thank you. Now I'll entertain a motion with regard to the Destination Iowa Creative Placemaking Surf District Music Enrichment and Immersive Center project to approve addendum number 1 to architectural services agreement with Atura Architecture. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Creighton, that we approve addendum number 1 to the agreement with Atura. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you. Now I'll entertain a motion to approve construction manager at risk agreement with the Dean Snyder Construction Company.
So moved.
Second.
Bennett, seconded by Mark, that we approve the agreement for the construction manager at risk with the Dean Snyder Construction Company. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. And now I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2410. This is a resolution to approve submittal of an application to the Iowa Economic Development Authority's Community Attraction and Tourism Program. Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Beth Ann, seconded by Mark, that we approve Resolution 2410. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Beth Ann,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Dana,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
and Creighton.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Resolution 2410 is duly adopted. Thank you all. 6D, request from the North Iowa Children's Museum. Review, Mr. Flory.
Just 10 more items to go. We're almost halfway there. Thank you, Mayor, Council. Start out here with the purple sheets in your packet. North Iowa Children's Museum request. Purple sheets are a letter of intent that drafted between the city and the 501c3 nonprofit. If you recall, at the last council meeting, representatives of the nonprofit had appeared and requested financial support for the project to aid in the development and constructing a museum that would be designed to provide interactive exhibits, programs to stimulate learning experiences for children, and of course, which would be located here in Clear Lake. So tonight, the council would consider a letter of intent, again, which is the purple sheets in your packet, that basically just memorializes certain preliminary understandings between the parties related to the planning, development, construction, and operation of the museum, and then outlines certain conditions under which a future financial contribution from the city would be contemplated. So the next sheets, so after the purple sheets, you got the yellow sheet there, which is a resolution that sets the date for a public hearing on a proposal to issue not to exceed $700,000 in general obligation debt. That would likely be in the form of a loan agreement for this particular project. The hearing that this resolution would establish the date for would be March 4th here in the council chambers. 5:30 p.m. under the assumption of that. So notice of the hearing would be published in the Mirror Reporter on February 15th. And as I mentioned at the last meeting, any of these, so continuing on past the yellow sheets in your packet are the white sheets, and just those are excerpts from the Code of Iowa, Chapter 384.26, that simply outlines these things. There's kind of two things cities issue debt for. One is an essential corporate purpose, and the other is a general corporate purpose. So essential corporate purposes are things like water lines, sewer lines, roads, storm sewers, those kinds of things. General corporate purposes are more things like that you've had some recent experience. It would be a swimming pool. We went through the same process with that. The Wellness Center would be a more recent example, if you recall, where we went through the exact same process, and subject to, again, as I mentioned, the reverse referendum. And under 5A2, you'll note that that's the limit that we have. So we're between those parameters of population between 5,000 and 75,000. So we're fixed at not anything more than 700,000 in terms of this. So anything more than that, and you would automatically have to have a referendum.
Council questions for Scott on the letter of intent? None appearing. I'll entertain a motion to approve a letter of intent between the City of Clear Lake, Iowa and the North Iowa Children's Museum.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Creighton, seconded by Dana, that we approve the letter of intent. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to comment on this, if I could. I'm going to support this letter of intent for the Children's Museum project, but with some of the same major concerns I expressed last meeting regarding the size and the sustainability of this particular vision of a children's museum, just given the limited population that we have in North Iowa. I think an independent feasibility study will certainly help us to evaluate those concerns. But frankly, I'm skeptical given the lack of population in our area and frankly the enormous cost of this particular project. So I would actually suggest and encourage the North Iowa Children's Museum to pursue an existing building perhaps, or continue that search in North Iowa that could be repurposed and used and become better established in the community, and I do appreciate the work that they have done and the vision that they have. I just think the kind of capital campaign that they're currently pursuing might be more appropriate down the road and more feasible in a few years when you have a firmer foundation and donor base. So anyway, I'm going to support moving it forward. I wish you the best of luck, and I want to thank you for being here tonight.
I'm going to echo something that Council Member Smith said, was looking at something that you could repurpose. And that comes from my experience as being the director of the Clear Lake Historical Society Museum and Research Center. We wanted to be able to have a facility. We are all volunteers. Nobody in our organization is paid anything, even myself as the director. The city was very willing to let us, when they decided to move Parks and Rec in with Public Works, they had the old Parks and Rec house, a 1913 Sears and Roebuck house. And they said, if you want to move into there, we'll check the structure. We'll see what needs to be done. If you do all of the grunt work, well, they didn't call it grunt work, but they, the work. I mean, we painted, we refinished the woodwork, we refinished the floors. We got that place livable. It took us 2 years, but we got it ready to go. And we now have a museum. And we repurposed a house. You need something bigger, but I would encourage you, because I want this. I know what it's like. Immersion. I know, as a teacher. So I would encourage you to investigate further. Are there places here in town that could meet your needs to get you started? Is that possible? And then keep that vision open. I just don't want anything to block the possibilities when there's something we can get started. I mean, this last summer, I hosted the Iowa Cultural Affairs group and a group from the Iowa Historical Society, Iowa State Historical Society, and we were spending time on 4th Street looking at buildings that have been repurposed for entrepreneurs and for housing, and how we can do that with buildings in our own community. So I would encourage you to think about that possibility, that we wouldn't have to maybe start with brand new. We could start with something already existing, create it, start it, and then grow it. Let it be seed, and see how it flies. Because I just don't want everything to collapse on us. Historical Society, we're still in our little building and we're doing fine, but we aren't going to have the giant exhibits you will, but just to get it started. Just a thought from a fellow museum person. So, thanks.
I'm excited to offer my support to the group as I was during our last meeting. When we moved to Clear Lake, we began to see things that were really what we would feel would be impossible for a community like this. Things like Thursdays on Main that we have week after week, that we have wonderful attendance at. I was involved with Bash at the Lake last year. There, of course, for big ideas like that, there's often skepticism, some of it appropriate, some of it maybe not. But we have a community here that can do big things. And this is another idea for a big thing. And I would just like to offer my support in hope that you're able to achieve what you're setting out for. And this is something that I know you've all been working at for the past 3 years, and maybe beyond that, but that's my estimation of when I first met with the group here. And I know you have looked at some of these other buildings and things like that. And of course, encourage you, like both of them here, to continue to keep an open mind on where this facility could be, hopefully will be. But I appreciate, again, everything that you've done, the work that you've put forth. I know you've done some of your own feasibility work outside of an independent feasibility study, so you have looked at a lot of these things. And you've created excitement, especially with younger families. When I talk to other younger families or people that have grandchildren as well, and people that are just excited to see this project be successful. And I think it's going to take a lot of people being very positive, because it's a really big goal. And even after maybe you achieve that goal and are able to build the building, it's a continual process, right? This isn't just maybe a one-time effort, but it's going to take continual maybe fundraising, things like that. Also marketing, making sure patrons continue to come in there. But a lot of that is making sure you have the right attractions when you first open up, so I see that side of it as well. But happy to offer my support to the group.
Any other comments? Just like to say a few words with regard to another committee that we had that worked very diligently for a long time on the inclusive playground. From beginning to end, I believe it was nigh on to 6 years. And as a result of that, there was a lot of, here, Scott's going to say, here goes crab with these C words, collaboration, cooperation with those people and the city and contractors to make sure that that came fruition. There's another word we use too much sometimes as well. But, you know, patience is a necessary ingredient here. I have a big question mark on the building of a new building. I've done a little research of my own around, not necessarily here, but other places too. Many communities start out with an empty building and work from that. Perhaps smaller than one would like, but then to expand in the future. And I know there are a lot of thoughts in people's heads right now thinking that's not what we want. But I do believe that that's perhaps where one should start and move from there. Within the letter of intent, I do believe there are some contingencies that we all have agreed upon or will agree upon before this gets carried on, include the sharing of the feasibility study. That's key. That is key. And part of it is due to population, part of it, that we have in this particular area. Believe it or not, I have seen one that I thought was very good, and I got trumped by another city person who had been to a better one. And so I guess there are good children's museums and not so good children's museums, and I think we need to look at the quality of it as well. So there are a lot of things going on here. I do think time is important, and we need to work at it and with it and together for this to become reality in our town. Would it be a wonderful addition to our town? Absolutely. Absolutely, beyond a doubt. You know, let's see what this feasibility study brings, and then we can talk perhaps with more clarity.
I was just going to add, I don't know if it'd come up later, but you're spot on, Mayor. There, in the letter of intent, we do memorialize those commitments, not the least of which is the feasibility study and our partnership with the North Iowa Children's Museum on that. So they would pay up to $25,000 towards a feasibility study. We would pay up to $15,000 towards a feasibility study. So like you, I've kind of seen a few of those and excited about working with the North Iowa Children's Museum to issue this RFP and see what kind of responses we get and do our fact finding and see what comes back. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Thank you. All right, I have to call the question here, and it's with regard to approving the letter of intent. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you. And now we go to a motion to approve Resolution 2411, a resolution to set the date which shall be March 4th. Do I have that correct date? March 4th for a public hearing? Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
March 4th for a public hearing at which it is proposed to take the additional action on a proposal to enter into a general obligation loan agreement and to borrow money thereunder. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Mark, that we approve Resolution 2411. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Bennett?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Creighton?
Yes.
And Beth Ann?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 2411 is duly adopted. Thank you all. E, Ludwig Wanberg Municipal Bandshell Lakeview Room Upgrade Project. Intro, Mr. Flory.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. This is, of course, one of our larger capital projects to be part of fiscal year '24 amended and fiscal year '25 proposed. This evening, the consultant Natura and with Mark and Austin are going to review the proposed final plan specifications, form contract, and estimate of cost for, as the Mayor described, the Ludwig Wanberg Municipal Bandshell and Lakeview Room Upgrade Improvement Project. We established the date for a bid letting for this again, February 29th. We're taking full advantage of the month of February. This one will be 2 p.m., so we're pushing it even a little bit further in the day. So 29th at 2 p.m. for the bid letting here in the council chambers at City Hall, and then we'll have the consideration of the bid and awarded contract at your meeting on March 4th at 5:30 p.m. and also get a whole public hearing on that, on the plans there. So anticipate, like with the others, the notice of hearing here will be published in the newspaper on February 15th. The preliminary opinion of cost, it's included in your packet, is approximately $650,000. I just note that there does seem to be some conservative contingencies in there, so I think that seems to be a pretty good figure for us. The schedule calls for construction to begin on the Lakeview Room upgrades. We'd like to begin those here in mid-March. And those will be completed prior to Memorial Day of this year. And then we would have sort of a bifurcated schedule here, so it kind of depends on a little bit of the contractor schedule. But generally, we would not start the bandshell improvements themselves until after the height of the summer season, of course, and then have a completion date of November 1st on those. In terms of the project financing, this would be something that we'd combine with our anticipated debt issuance for the 2 housing projects. So we'd probably go to market with somewhere around a $1.7 million general obligation issuance for the Bandshell Improvement Project, and then the South Shore Estates Project and the Emerald Edge Twin Home Project. So we'll go to market with that. I think we'll be able to capitalize on some more favorable interest rates and then take advantage of economies of scale when it comes to issuance costs and other fixed costs that's just generally associated with a larger overall offering. So I don't have anything further in terms of any background. I was just going to thank several of you who have been involved in this project from the very beginning. I think it's a very exciting project. We saw kind of the preliminary renderings of this a couple of meetings ago. Very exciting. I think they have come even farther since then, obviously. And you know, it's amazing how fast time goes, but that Bandshell Lakeview Room was constructed actually company sitting here in the room that added that on, but that was more than 25 years ago now. And, you know, it needed a serious refresh, and so glad to be able to do it. It's one of our, you know, most prized amenities in our community. Everyone's attended some function there, and to be able to look out over the lake, it's just a real blessing. And so just, I think it's a nice project, and really excited about it. So, I don't have anything further, I guess, in terms of the basic parameters on the project. Mark is the project architect, and Austin, they can speak about a little bit more about some of the details on the finishings, and if you'd like, so.
Yeah, before Austin comes up, Austin, we're going to have to pay him. He comes up here so much on every night. Yeah.
He's not going home hungry.
Shekel here, shekel there. Here we go. Neat that it's named after Lud Wanberg. You know, there was a guy, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was a concert French horn player.
Yes.
At probably the top level you could come
New York
by.
Philharmonic.
There you go. There you go. And, you know, he ran that summer band, called band, orchestra, whatever,
Yeah,
for
it's called
years and
band.
years and years. And
Well, and thank you for bringing that up. You know, there is a little, I don't know if I'd even call it a plaque, that's on that kind of north wall there. And we have spoken to Atura, I know Ben and Beth Ann both been involved in this conversation, about, as part of this project, maybe doing something a little better than what is there now. And in recognition of these, you know, well over 50 years of service in this capacity. And so it's kind of tucked up, and if you're not looking for it, you won't miss it. In fact, Jacob and I were down there the other day looking at it, and or maybe it was Jennifer. I can't remember. Somebody and I were looking at it, and it almost looks like a piece of paper stuffed under a plexiglass under there. And so I think we had talked about, I think in recognition of his significant contributions, this is an opportunity, I think, also for us to put something a little finer up there and perhaps even rededicate, because this will be a remarkable project.
Needs to be better than an 8.5 by 11 sheet paper.
Yeah,
out there.
it's pretty tacky.
Any other comments for Scott? Thanks, Scott. Austin? He lost his leg, so he's turning it over.
Austin does need me to come up instead since he's already been up here. So Mark Kramer is her architecture project architect on it. Kind of like, I'll kind of just restate some of what Scott's already said with the schedule, with the construction basically being done in 2 phases. First, the Lakeview room and the public restrooms, getting that done before really graduation parties want to get in there and reserve the Lakeview room, and before your busy summer months. But then the exterior, really working with the schedule of events around the band shell, and definitely avoid the 4th of July celebration week, but a lot of that will be dependent on the contractor and how it fits into their schedule. And I've already consulted with a project manager at Dean Snyder Construction as far as schedule, how can it be done, just to get their feedback on it too. And really with the band shell, the biggest part is really with that shell, the stucco on it. There's some spots that have peeled off, and so what we're doing there, and that's probably one of the larger pieces monetary wise for the project. And we're actually looking at bidding it 3 different ways. Most cost effective is just repair the stucco, give it refreshed, but then there's always going to be continuous maintenance on that. But then we're also looking at more durable materials, a couple of them, one being composite, which the distillery has that composite, so it'd be kind of a wood look to be applied to the underside of that. And then another material is called HPL, high pressure laminate, which is just a thin 1/4 inch plank. It'd be very similar looking to what's on the distillery, just a different product that we think could be better. But some of those, like the HPL, we haven't used before, but so cost was a concern. And so we want to make sure we're budget conscious on this, but still want to do a durable, somewhat maintenance-free product that will last a long time. And along with that, I mean, just the refresh, and like Scott says, the Lakeview room has been there for 25 years now. Our firm designed it, and so it's kind of interesting going back to a project our firm has done in the past. But looking at the ephes, the stucco-looking material on the front, you're starting to see kind of nail heads showing through. So, I mean, that just needs to be touched up, refinished, as well as all the finishes on the inside. And I would say probably another big piece to this project is adding a wheelchair lift. So currently the stairs going from the Lakeview room onto the stage or back behind the stage is another big piece of the project, where to be able to give accessibility to the stage area. And then that also allowed us to shift some things around and add a family bathroom right off the Lakeview room, so you can still have people using the public restrooms, but then whatever party is in the Lakeview room can use that bathroom. That's really going to be a unisex, handicap accessible bathroom within there then. And probably another big piece to the project, as far as the stage goes, is that I think will really be a dynamic piece is LED lighting. I mean, we're replacing basically all the light fixtures to LEDs, but with a stage, we're adding some colored accents, and it'll be programmable lights, so you can start doing themes, whether it be 4th of July, Christmas, pink for cancer awareness, breast cancer awareness, and all that just with the different events, or even with performers, it can change the color and program that for the performers as well. So, I mean, that's going to be another dynamic piece to the project, is beyond just simple maintenance and repair. Like, particularly there's some wood trim that's rotted, and so we're making sure we're taking care of that, so.
That's a very unique piece of architecture, isn't it? I think the only other one I know of is in Hampton, if I'm not mistaken. And,
It's not built the same, though. We actually did contact somebody in Hampton, and we actually just have a guy that started for us this year that resides in Hampton and knows them. So we got the building construction drawings from that, but looking at that whole shell structure, it's not the same, because last week we actually went and core drilled a little hole in the plaster of the band shell just to basically see the structure underneath, and it is a little bit different, so. But
aren't those arms wooden? And there's some-
yeah, you got the main arch up front, and then you got another arch in the back, but then there's laminated wood beams every 4 foot on center that just go straight with them, so.
And they're okay, they're not rotten or anything, obviously.
No, it looks like they're in good shape, so.
Good. Good.
Trim that's kind of around it is
Yeah.
what's kind of rotted
Yeah.
out.
I was just going to mention that, several of us at staff have worked on this, and, I appreciate everybody's time and investment, thoughts on this project. One of our overarching, themes and thoughts on this were that we wanted, of course, there's so much historical integrity involved with this band shell. It's so valuable to our community and just such an icon here. But we wanted to just kind of gently give the refresh. And so we did that, I think, pretty delicately and with a lot of thought, trying to carefully modernize this, this edifice with more of a 21st century kind of utility, if you will. So like Mark mentioned, some of the lights and the wheelchair lift and all these things that we're trying to make it a little more usable, a little more effective for 21st century, but just want to pay homage to its heritage and musical integrity and what it represents to the community. So,
Beth made sure we stayed
Yep.
good to the
you did a good job.
not putting pineapples on this one.
No, this one doesn't need pineapples, no.
But I would just totally agree with Scott's comments. I mean, I think it really does modernize it as opposed to doing just a maintenance type of approach to it. Well worth the investment we're making. And thank you, Mark, for the update. I think it's, again, just a terrific project for Clear Lake.
It's definitely been a different kind of project than what I'm used to, but it's been
Yeah.
fun, yeah.
For me, one of the biggest things is when Austin got a hold of me and said, I want pictures of when they built it at the Historical Society, and that was quite a interesting job for me, and we did. I found some pictures of when they actually put up all of the skeletal parts to put the cone together. They weren't very good pictures, but they were pictures back in the mid-50s.
It helped, though.
And it helped, yeah, I'm so glad it helped. But, so it's fun for me to be on this committee too and help on this, because I do like what's been developed, so, yeah, it's great.
Well, that whole park is gold to this city. It really is. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2412, a resolution to set the date for a hearing, which shall be March 4th, and a bid letting, which shall be February 29th at 2 p.m. here in the council chambers on the proposed Ludwig Wanberg Municipal Bandshell Lakeview Room Upgrade Improvement Project. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Mark. We approve Resolution 2412. Is there any discussion? Dana?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Creighton?
Yes.
Beth Ann?
Yes.
And Bennett?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Resolution 2412 is duly adopted. City Council meeting time change, midnight to 2 p.m. No, that's not. Review, Mr. Flores.
I'll just have here for this one, try to do it quick. It's the last purple sheet there in your packet. Several of you have asked me about, possibility of adjusting the meeting time from 6 p.m. to 5:30. So thanks to Jennifer for looking into this one. Of course, the days would stay first and third Mondays. The last time that we did this, we went from 6:30 to 6 p.m. That was in 2018. So it's been 6 years since we made a change on the meeting time. So just thought I'd give that for your background on that. So if you wanted to approve this all tonight, as I mentioned, we've kind of planned a lot of the proceedings around at least getting some of that done, so.
Any questions for Scott? Comments? Thanks, Scott. Therefore, I entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 881 on the first of three readings, an ordinance to change the meeting time for a regular meeting of City Council of Clear Lake, Iowa to 5:30 p.m. on the first and third Monday, 5-0, and ordinance 881 is approved on the first reading. Now, council, once again, at your pleasure, a motion to suspend the rules pursuant to Iowa Code Section 380.3 and place ordinance number 881 on the third and final reading. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Beth Ann and seconded by Dana that we suspend the rules pursuant to Iowa Code Section 380.3 and place ordinance 881 on the third and final reading. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Creighton?
Yes.
Beth Ann?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
And Mark?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. And we'll move directly now to the third and final reading of ordinance number 881. I need a motion to approve to change the meeting time for regular meetings of the City Council of Clear Lake to 5:30 p.m. on the first and third Monday of each month. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Dana, seconded by Mark, that we approve ordinance number 881 on the third and final reading. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Beth Ann?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
And Creighton?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0, and ordinance number 881 is duly adopted. Chief, report. Welcome.
Just circling back, the last time we met up here, you guys had not had the December police report in your packets, so I didn't know if there are any questions following up with the December report before I go into the updates for tonight.
I like that report, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
in the
there's
mayor's
lot of
words, seeing
information-
none.
A lot of
Yeah.
information there.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I hadn't had a chance to see one before, so this is great. Thank you.
Yeah. I'd like to keep you informed of what we're doing outside of the statistics there too, so that's kind of the goal of that. Just a real quick update on the captain spot. We'll hope to have that decision made this week and in front of you for the next council meeting too for an appointment. And then shortly after we met last month, we did have a minor vehicle collision with one of our vehicles. Our detectives hit a deer on their way home in a city car, so that's at the shop being fixed for through insurance. They'll cover that, so it's a car deer, so there shouldn't be any cost to the city. They cover the deductible of that as well. And then I really don't have much else to present to you tonight. I was out of town last week down on the beach with family, so I'm just kind of playing catch up this week. Other than tomorrow, we have Councilman Smith and I will be at the emergency management monthly meetings, setting the budget and stuff for them as well too. So we'll report back on the following meeting at the end of the month on how that goes and with the public hearing date for that. But other than that, I really don't have a lot to report to you. I'll probably have a lot more in 2 weeks for you. That'll be my guess.
Newest
Somebody has
academy
anything.
grads doing fine?
I'm doing very well. Yeah, had a busy week last week, which you'll see in the next monthly report. But they recovered a stolen vehicle, had a chase with a drunk semi-driver, and some other stuff going too. So he's getting a lot of experience on afternoons.
Any questions, Councilman? Thanks, Chief.
Thank
Appreciate it. Public Work Director's report. Mr. Kornberg. Jeremy, welcome. Update on the 2010 North 4th Street Woodford Wheeler demo project.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Yeah, the demo's completed, all the removals, foundations have been completed. Obviously with the warm up and the thaw, the lot has been too wet to work in really. And now with the Kite Festival being canceled, we've kind of determined just to kind of wait it out. Hopefully it either dries out or refreezes to lay some rock in there. So they're just kind of, they're going to leave it fenced up for now. And just kind of be at a standstill till they can get some work done. That's just too much of a mess to get anything else done right now. We'd just be throwing a lot of money at rock and stuff to try to firm that up. So just kind of at a standstill there. As far as public works stuff, obviously not a lot of snow to move, which is great. And if you've seen us, we're just out there doing some street cleaning, getting some of that sand we've already put out back off the roads, keep it out of the storm sewers. And then just general maintenance that we can get done around the shop and whatnot. So any questions for me?
Sure has been a good winter.
Too bad.
I didn't say that, did I?
All right.
Thank you, thank you. Under Mayor's report, could I have the chamber come first? Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. I'm Sarah Nielsen, and as the board chair of the Clear Lake Area Chamber of Commerce, I'm just happy to share our support for the transformative investments being made through our community. The Destination Iowa Creative Placemaking Surf District Streetscape Project will create a renewed sense of energy and charm around that area. This initiative will not only enhance the aesthetic appeal of the district, but will also serve as a catalyst for economic growth and community engagement. The Chamber recognizes the value of such investments, understanding the potential to draw visitors and new residents while bolstering our local economy. Similarly, the projects in Emerald Edge addressing the pressing need for diverse housing options. Developments like this, both the townhomes and the apartment project, are testament to our city's commitment and growth. As we look forward to these projects and others taking shape, the Chamber is excited about the positive ripple effects that they will have across our city. On another note, as it was noted, the cancellation of the Color of the Wind this morning was tough. It was a tough decision, but with the unseasonably warm conditions, the ice is just not reliable and safe. So we are looking forward to hopefully seeing the kites fly next year on February 15th, 2025. So, thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you. Chad? North Iowa Corridor?
Thank you, Mayor, Council, appreciate it, and appreciate the comments from the chamber as well. You know, this last Friday, we had our investor forum over at the Wellness Center, and it was just really, it was a lot of fun. You know, one of the things I always do, if you ever come to those, I always make people do a dorky icebreaker for me. And this month, because it's Valentine's, I asked people to talk about what they love about North Iowa, and it was just really cool to hear the themes. Most of them were the mayor's. Collaboration, community.
Well, Flory went on for half an hour.
Yeah, Flory likes to take the gavel and run with it. But no, it was just awesome to have great participation in that again, and really the momentum. Just being able to talk about all the things that our communities, that our organizations are collaborating, partnering, working on, and then you just see it at the meeting tonight. I mean, the number of transformative and significant investments. If you were just dealing with one of those, it'd be a big deal. but you've got no less than 4, 5, 6 major things happening. So just to commend you guys again. Appreciate you. It just makes it easy to love being a part of North Iowa, being a part of it, and working for it. So appreciate the opportunity to team up with you guys on so many great things, and all your efforts on that. On that front, excited to announce Maddie Anderley, our new that's next. Our new marketing and communications specialist. She joined her team a week ago Friday. So just on start of week 2 right now, and she's dove right in. Again, we have a partnership with the Clear Lake Chamber on this position. She'll be with them 2 days a week, and us the other 3. But just a phenomenal opportunity to team up with I think we have obviously very tied together marketing initiatives and concerns. So really appreciate the team over there. Obviously, the Clear Lake Chamber does a phenomenal job in marketing. We need to up our game on that, and already appreciate what Maddie's brought to the table with her ideas and energy. She's a Clear Lake graduate, went to NIAC and then to UNI. So just great. Within the first week, she already had a mock-up of a new website for us. And so she just dove right in and is doing some really cool stuff. So really looking forward to that. Unfortunately, we also now had our workforce position open up that we partner with NIAC on. Casey Royster had done a great job for us through last year. Our friends at Pritchard's gave her a great opportunity, so we're excited for her on that. But that position just got posted through the NIAC job board, and we'll be sharing that out as well. So look to get that filled up quickly, because we have a ton of things going on with our schools and our businesses and the partnerships that we're doing on that front. And obviously a lot of great opportunities in our businesses that we want to make sure our students are aware of and make sure that we're marketing and promoting as best as we possibly can. Also looking forward tomorrow, Chris Terry from Hamilton Real Estate, obviously with the Emerald Edge Apartments, will be presenting to our board at our meeting tomorrow. So look forward to introducing him to our team and all the folks that haven't got a chance to see that. Obviously another great project that we're excited to show off, and have already made some connections for him and some local business leaders and folks that we hope can be more aware of that project and the opportunities that they can tie into that. And finally, I'll just hit on our Washington DC trip. That will be our North Iowa, Washington DC trip coming up in May. I know the mayor and Scott.
And now Beth Ann.
Beth Ann, awesome. Well, welcome to the party.
Thank
It's gonna
you.
be a fun trip. I think we're up to about 17 folks going on the trip, it sounds like. So, going to meet with their representatives, senators, several key federal departments. I'm sure we'll be thanking some of the USDOT, the FAA for some of the help they've given on the airport, and various others, Economic Development Administration. So it's been since 2018, I think was our last one. We got snowed out in 19, then COVID, of course, in 20, and 21, and then 22. I think we might have gotten snowed out again. So it's been a good 6 years, which is kind of hard to believe. But that always is a good trip and important, I think, that we're representing our issues in DC.
You'll have to stop by and see me. Marriott has their employee appreciation that week.
Well, perfect.
So you can all come visit the Marriott headquarters if you want to.
I'll bet they throw a heck of a
And we'll
party over
just-
there,
Yep,
too.
it's a heck of a week-long associate appreciation, so.
Oh, wow, now I want to go.
Pictures of the meals they have out there, so I'll be
Oh,
hanging out
yes.
with them.
I think that's all I got. I mean, just in general, a lot of great activity happening right now on the business side as well. Gosh, I can't wait for these early meetings. That'll be nice. Get home before bedtime. Thank you, guys.
Hey, thanks. Assistant Chief Keefe, welcome.
Mayor, Council, I've only got 15 resolutions and 5 motions to carry here. Out of here sometime tonight.
Nobody's going to second them, though.
Yeah, right. We've had a busy month, 103 calls. I think Doug sent it over to you. There was a lot of calls for us. Had one house fire. Luckily, the people actually smelled the smoke themselves and were able to get out. They didn't have a working smoke detector. Could have been a real disaster if they hadn't gotten up. They'd never made it out of the house. So we were lucky in that case. The other thing I want to say, if Mike was here, he could tell you exactly how that band shell was built, so keep that in mind. Call him up, I'm sure he knows about it. The other thing is, the other big event, obviously, was the truck has arrived. It's in the station. We were able to drive it back from Breda. It runs pretty good. We've got some of the hose loaded on it. We've got some other equipment put on it, but you're more than welcome to come over and see it. Thank you for purchasing that truck for us. Those of you that made Saturday, it was a push-in event. We've never done that before here at Clear Lake. It was something new. Had a lot of interesting comments, and people sure enjoyed it, so we did make them push it in. Contrary to what some people said, we drove it in, we didn't. Everybody pushed. Bennett was there, and the mayor was there. I was watching the mayor, and he wasn't pushing a lot, but he was trying to help out. But we did get it pushed back into the station, and we hope to have it up and going soon. We have a representative from Toying coming the 13th, and he's going to go over the whole pump operation for us, so everybody gets the same education, same training on that pump. And other than that, the truck itself is going to be a good one. It's a little bit bigger than engine 2, but it is going to be a good truck, and we hope to get everything put together. We do have some training coming up for Firefighter 1 candidates in the area. That's going to be coming up Saturday. I've talked to Jeremy. I'll probably use some of the city building if we can again. One of our firefighters is in that class. They've got about 16 new firefighters coming, and hopefully we'll get some training out of the burn building down there. We're going to do some burning on that, and then maybe come back to our station or use the city building to do some additional training. We're also looking at buying a new drone. We'll be getting a new drone. That'll be coming out of our association money. It's going to replace the one we have. It's going to be, obviously a situation where you can use it inside our department as well as outside. If somebody needs a drone, all they can do is call us up and we'll get them a drone. Same way with the underwater drone we have got. We've tried to educate people if they need that drone, all they can do is call and we'll get the thing there and help them out. So other than that, like I said, it's been a busy month for us, and we didn't pull anybody from the lake yet. That, knock on wood, I hope it doesn't happen, but there's some people out there ice fishing. It can't be a lot of ice, but they are out there. So anything else I can help you with?
We go to cell number 4?
Huh?
We sell number 4 fire truck?
We're selling number 1.
Number 1.
Number one's going to go out. Yeah, number 1's the International. That's going out. As soon as we get everything off it and get it taken care of, that'll be moved out, and we'll put 5 in. Engine 5 is taking 1's place. The tradition is you don't normally replace the same number on a truck that you just got rid of. So if we get rid of one, we aren't going to replace with engine number 1, we're going to call it engine number 5. So that's why we did it that way, why it's numbered number 5. All right.
Good.
Anything else?
Questions? No? Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Just a couple quick things here. Winter dance party at the Surf went very, very well. I happened to be there all 3 nights, and thank goodness Dean and Joanne got that when they did. It's been a big boon to our city, shall we say, for a long time, and we certainly want to see that continue as we acted here tonight with that. Like a couple of guys came in and said to me, one from Canada, one from Texas, I believe. There were 1,800 there all 3 nights. And he said, it's not necessarily this building, but it's you people in this town. Man, that really lit me up, and I thought that was really quite the words to say coming from a guy from that far away. And he said, I'm coming back again and again. So think of the repercussions of all that out through the community. It's very, very positive. I want to congratulate the high school winter teams. I think the basketball team, boys, is undefeated. The girls have done very well, and they took 4 first-time female wrestlers to the state tournament. So big plus for that. And the open house at the Wellness Center Saturday.
Very good.
All kinds of little tykes and old tykes there that, that great facility. Scott, you're on.
Well, since I'll add one more item, so Chad mentioned that when Mark was there, was Creighton, and they gave some recognition to one of the older members that comes pretty faithfully and walks every morning, and I think it's Chris's mom is who got that, and she's in her 90s.
Yeah, Jane Beard.
Yep, and they're every morning, and she made a comment, just how impactful that wellness center, the partnership, of course, with the school and the city to build that, but just how impactful that was on, here's an octogenarian. We think about these things as for younger people, but they're enjoyed by all age groups there, and so I was really thrilled to hear that, but since you mentioned that, I had to say that. I'll run through these real quick. City Hall security ADA upgrades going really well. In fact, that great big huge beam that's out in the parking lot tomorrow, they're going to install that tomorrow, so it's going to be kind of interesting to watch that. The framing, steel studs and things are going to start going up, so that's coming along pretty well. Just the update on the Rays, that's our 4th Avenue South project. We did wrap up consultant interviews, and the committee has made a selection, so we'll start negotiations with that firm. And again, that's another one, Federal Highway Administration, USDOT. There's twice the red tape on that one as the other ones even, so that one is a long time, kind of a behind, but it's mostly because of the red tape and the bureaucracy. And the update on 3 Stars Memorial Sculpture, we did likewise complete a review of the responses that we got to our RFP. We had issued an RFP to 8 foundries. We got responses back from 5, and a pretty healthy group of us went through all of those proposals and scored and ranked all of those based on qualifications, response to the proposal, background information, relatable projects and things. And so we identified the top 3 of that, and we'll be conducting interviews with them sometime here in the pretty near future. So really excited about that. I think that's just an amazing project. I think we're going to be really excited about that. And last but not least, I want to introduce Matt Stedding, our city engineer, who's first day on the job today. So he got quite a baptism here with a lot of our projects. We kind of pushed him right in a few of them. So, so welcome.
Thank you. Anything else?